What's up, witches? We are filming a mistakes to avoid do's and don'ts of makeup, essentially. So I get a lot of questions as a makeup artist here in good old Pacific Northwest of America about what should I do? How do you blend your eyeshadow like that? Like, your eyebrows are awesome. Like, how do you do, you know? So I'm just like, I should film one of these. So we're gonna. I'm going to start with the eyeballs for you first. So this side is going to be the do. This side is going to be the don't. Okay? So, don't do. Don't do. I'm going to keep the eye look very, very simple just to be instructive. So I'm using my Truly Madly Deeply palette by ColourPop. I love this freaking palette. It's one of my favorites. Do always use a crease color. So like kind of a mid-tone color like a bronze, or you can use bronzer. So I'm going to use this color here on the do side. Now, what you want to do if you want to keep your eye look very simple is just close your lid, 224. This is your best friend, you guys, I promise you. Put it on the brow bone and not on the lid. You're putting it above the lid, right there, okay? So that way the pressure is mostly concentrated on the brow bone. The don't side. Now, it's very similar to the do side, but I'll show you. So, same thing, popping it in the crease. You know, you're doing your windshield wiper motions, okay? And you stop there. So, I want you to pay attention to the do side and what we're about to do here. So, when I was a beginning makeup artist, that's where I would stop. It doesn't look bad. Now I'm going to show you why this tends to make your eyes look more tired. So what you want to do to bring your eyes and lift them up, no matter what eye shape you have, hooded, round, almond, standard, it don't matter. Just concentrate that color again at the corner. So I'm not bringing it all the way in where I was. And then start to make a triangle with your shadow. You see what I'm doing here? Toward the tail of your eyebrow here. Okay, you see what I'm doing? You see how much of a difference that makes? So now, just look straight on and blow that out toward the temple, and I'm using my eyebrow as my guide here, so that way I don't have too much concentrated color here where I, stop and go back, and I don't have too much concentrated here. You're sort of meeting in this middle area. See that? You see that? There? See the difference there? So, both are lifted, but when you relax your eye, what is naturally drawing the attention up? It's this side, not this side. Let's go with Misty. Let's go with good old Misty. And this is fine. This isn't really like a mistake, do or don't, this part, because it's just a lid color, really. This side's not bad, but it's just not quite as lifting as the other side. One thing I like to do is just add a little bit more concentration of color, and this is typically just something I like to finish after I have my lid color on. They don't necessarily brighten up the inner corner of the eye with like a banana colored eyeshadow or like a brightening powder or anything. I always brighten up this inner corner. And the reason being is because we get dark circles in here. I have concealed and powdered this already, and you can still see some darkness in here. See that in there? So just to kind of help make that go away. And I'm using the shade Matter of Fact. This is a one palette look, you guys. And I just kind of like to extend it a little bit right there. So you can see big difference. See that? How you can still see some purple popping through there? So let's just add a brow bone color. Something shimmery on the do. And then again on the don't. So you can also see how the inner corner here is a sort of reflecting the light as well. Whereas this one's just sort of absorbing it. Even matte shadows will still have the technology built into them, most of them, where they kind of reflect a little bit. They're meant to bounce light, if that makes sense. So you can see how that side is just much more lifted, how it draws my eye naturally up. I'm just taking some brow pomade and I'm combing it through. And I'm doing that first before I do anything else. Now, again, that does not look bad. But if you want to do brow pomade, you don't want to do your eyebrow gel first. So, and here's why. And I see this a lot. So you see how heavy and smushed it already looks? So when I see people carve out their brows, I see them really carve them out. They carve the top as well. And then this just makes your brow pomade not work. Or if you do put brow pomade before your brow gel, it's still gonna look very carved and less natural, right? Oops. So there is the brow of the don't. So as you can see, that it just looks very like bam. So on this side, you're going to take your brow pomade. You are going to carve out the bottom, but then you're going to blend it up, and I'll show you. And you're going to stop right there for just a second. Now you're going to take your tinted brow pomade. Okay. And let it do the rest of the work for you. Okay, and I'm going to start with the middle of my brow, comb it up, and I'm sort of flicking it. I'm not putting pressure on the whole brow. You see how much more natural that looks? Now, if you want to accentuate like the tip, the top corner there, you can do that. I'll show you how to do it on the do side here. Is still start from the bottom again. Basically what I'm doing is I'm just very gently extending that color up to that corner, that triangle area there. That's all I am doing. And then I'm just sort of doing like brush hair strokes for the rest. There, you see how I'm carved out still and my brow is still done, but it's not like super dramatic and carved. It still looks, you know, relatively natural. Highlight and blush and bronzer, okay? So it's very important, you have to realize that these are 3 different textures that you're working with. If you want the most natural looking thing, this is how I suggest you apply it in these steps. A lot of the time I see women apply blush first. So I'm going to show you why I think that is a bit of a faux pas. The color tends to get lost underneath bronzer and highlighter and things like that, and also where you're putting it. So I see a lot of girls just put blush here on the apple of the cheek, and that's fine. You know, that's where you were taught by your mama and your grandmama, and that's fine. So we're just gonna do that. But for the sake of this video, I'm glad, so that way you can really see what I'm talking about as far as like the color. It's gonna draw the face down. Don't do that. You just wanna take it and put it basically where the outer portion of my eye is. Boop, right underneath that. That's your money spot, right there. So you can just stamp it, and I'm also using a smaller, more concentrated brush, and instead of using a big guy like, you know, a big fluffy blush brush, I like smaller ones because I like to work with a less blown out area like the apple of the cheek here. I am going a little ham. I do not ever concentrate it this much, but for the sake of the video I'm going to, and I like to kind of put it here on the temple. So another thing that I see women do is they will just apply their blush like this, and then they don't really work it or blend it into the skin. So I'm taking my beauty blender, and yes, it has product on it from the foundation I did, which is a good thing. And I just like to press it in, just like that, especially around the edges where it starts to fade up kind of into this area here, to make sure you're not too high and you're not too low. See? I'm gonna take Becca Cosmetics in Champagne Pop, why not? Highlight placement. So, don't. I see this a lot, right on the top of the cheekbone, which you're told is where you should apply it, right? Of course it is. And this is fine. I see it come all the way down. That's, you know, if you want a little sparkle on your cheek like that, that's fine. But do you see how that kind of accentuates now my under eye area? Because this is highlighted, so now this all is recessed. That's why I say, you know, unless you've had like a really good night's sleep, I wouldn't suggest you do that on those days. You have seen me, you know, apply a little bit down here on the cheek area. That's fine. You know, I don't think that's bad, obviously. I do it too. But I don't go all the way down here with it. You know what I'm saying? So right here, where my natural highest point of my cheekbone is where I concentrate it, right here. Okay, and then, you know, hug the temple. Just blend it in a little tiny bit. And then what I also like to do with my finger is just pat that down right where it meets, where it starts to kind of meet the eye socket area, because you just want that to look smooth. Don't side. So I see a lot of people taking their bronzer and not just concentrating it back here, but applying a lot of extra back here. And then they, you know, bring it down. And again, this just draws your face right down. my bronzer is literally extended all the way down here, and there's a space gap in between the blush and the bronzer. Yes, concentrate it in the back, but don't add extra. Start in the back, but don't keep going back there. You know what I'm saying? So I'll show you. So start in the back, dab it, get your color even, but just to the end of the eye, right here. Don't go down here. Don't go down here. Just to the end of the eye. Hug your highlight and your blush up. What you do want to do is clean it up anyway. Even if you know you didn't really get too low down here on the face, you still want to clean it up. And I just take that same beauty blender with no extra product and just dab it and press the edges down. Okay, so I just put on some mascara, and so now we're gonna move on to lips. So with lips, overlining is fine. Overlining, in my opinion, is fine. Cupid's bow obviously is overlined a little bit. You don't want to keep overlining the whole way down. So my real lip is here. Obviously, that's not where it really is. Okay? Again, you don't want to stay on the outskirts. So what that's going to do is it's going to create bleeding. You don't want to do that. So on the do side, you can overline your Cupid's bow, but not much. It is a little overlined, just to accentuate the fact that it's there, because I don't really have a really pretty pointy one like you see on some women. I don't have one of those. Mine's a little bit more rounded, so the rest of the way I'm pretty much just following the natural shape of my lip. You can overline it a little bit at the bottom to make your lip look a little fuller. But then you're following the natural line, your natural lip line, the rest of the way up toward the corner. And if you want to make your lip look a little fuller, you can just add a little bit of color in the inner corner there. Okay, that's your don't side. This is your do. And I just like to take my finger and blend it in. If you want to just redefine your depth. I just like to do that kind of where my natural lip line is, just to make sure that there's no shine happening on my actual lip line. So like that's where my natural lip line is, right here. Clean it up. So you don't get bleeding. And especially when I'm wearing a red color, I will bake my lip. And I've shown you how to do that in my previous video. It's my retro 1950s video where I show you how to bake your lip line so you don't get bleeding when you're wearing dark colors like these, or like lip liners and things that tend to bleed out. Because you can see very clearly this is where the makeup is. And you can see on this side, that is where the makeup is. But on this side, that's my natural lip there. And it's just overlined slightly, but even close up, you can't really tell. Final thoughts from a makeup artist, from me to you. So, highlight really makes all the pores, all the fine lines, all the wrinkles, all the everything stand out. So, use a good primer. Second of all, when you put it all the way down here, you see how it just magnifies my texture? Like immediately, like my pores, like all that stuff here. And then because I have so much highlight here, it brings all that forward, because what do shimmers do? They capture light. So light brings things forward, shade draws things back. So based on an artist perspective, what's happening here? My under eye is completely standing out. My under eye is entirely like, I am concealed and powdered and brightened to the max. That was not different, but I look more tired on this side just because I put highlighter all the way down to the side, all the way. I followed my cheekbone all the way down and extended it to where my blush is to give my cheeks like a shimmer, right? Lots of girls like to do that. Nothing wrong with it. But if you're going to do that, I would recommend stopping about here, kind of where the middle of your eye is. If you want to put a little pop of shimmer on your actual apple, just right here is fine. If you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like just there, if you want. You know, experiment with that and see how you feel. If it still looks like it's bringing your eye socket, you know, bringing attention to your eye socket, then maybe just skip it. Okay? So, if you're an older gal like me, then you don't want to attract any texture to this. No. So, that's why my highlight is literally just here. That's why when I just turn my head subtly, like, we're still popping, we're still glowing, but this side of my face is entirely lifted and it looks like I'm still in my 20s versus this side of my face where I look about 35. So, brows. This is carved out, but what this does is it creates kind of a heavy feeling on the face. It doesn't lift your eye naturally up. So, this side, your brow's carved out. You've done your job, but it still looks done. It still looks good. It still looks like you have done your shit, but it's a much more natural looking eyebrow. Blush, we put the blush on the apple of the cheek. Okay? We did not on this side. We put it up here. Again, we want to lift the face all the way up. All the way up. Lift up. Blast off. So, bronzer. We did our bronzer. We concentrated it in the back, and you can see how when I stand back a little bit, that just brings everything down. You have a lot of different textures going on here, and you can really see them. But over here, it looks like my cheekbone. With the lips, we overlined the whole lip on this side, on the don't side. We did not on this side. So we overlined the Cupid's bow just a little, just to make sure that for me, for my lip, it's there. Because I have a bit of a flat one where I don't have a nice arch, you know, Cupid's bow thing. You know, mine's just a little flatter. So I like to just accentuate that a little bit, and that naturally, that's all I need to do. It's gonna make my lips look fuller naturally. That's it. So just don't try so hard. Just let your natural beauty speak for itself, and just, you know, you can tweak it a little bit. And that's all we did on this side. We tweaked a little bit, overlined just the Cupid's bow, and overlined just the bottom to make my lip look a little fuller. And I added the same lip liner dark color here in the corners, and that way the red that is in the center, okay, just pay attention to this side, naturally makes my lips look fuller. Okay, this side, I mean, it looks like I got stung by a bee. Here you have it. Those are my mistakes to avoid, do's and don'ts of a full-on face. Put it that way. Full-on face, mistakes to avoid, do's and don'ts. Okay? I really hope this helps you up your makeup game, especially if you are, you know, starting to try new techniques, new things, new ways of doing it. Hope it helps. Okay? Bye-bye, witches. Love you. Thank you.
Yep.
And you can always edit this part out to keep it short. You over there? Every time I want to fucking film, she has to just speak. All the peaches. Millions of peaches.
Millions of peaches, peaches for me.
Peaches for me. How we doing? What?
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 I don't know what you're talking about. And this is especially important if you have breakouts on your cheek, like I do right now. I had some dairy the other day. I can't say no to cheese.
Got any cheese?
King one.
Game on!